Everyone thinks procrastination means you're lazy, unmotivated, that you just don't care. But if that were true, how do you explain this? Why do the people who procrastinate the most also feel the most guilt? Why do they stay up at night overthinking everything? Why do they feel that constant, nagging stress about unfinished work even while they're actively avoiding it? See, lazy people don't feel that tension. Procrastination isn't about not wanting to do the work. It's about something deep inside you resisting what that work represents. And that's where the truth gets a little uncomfortable. For so many of us, procrastination isn't an avoidance of effort. It's an avoidance of emotion, the emotion of failing. The emotion of feeling like you're not good enough. The emotion of starting something and realizing it's much harder than you thought it would be. Or maybe it's the emotion of seeing your own potential and being terrified you want to live up to it. So, instead of starting, you delay, you put it off. Not because you don't care, but because you care way too much. Think about the moments you procrastinate the most. It's rarely on small, meaningless tasks. It's on the important things. That job application you keep postponing. The difficult conversation you know you need to have. The new skill you swore you'd learn soon. The very work that could actually change your future for the better. Procrastination shows up when something truly matters. And your brain, in its own weird way of trying to protect you, whispers, "Not right now. Let's just wait until we feel ready." But here's the catch. Ready rarely comes. I know a guy, brilliant person, smarter than he ever gave himself credit for. He kept saying he wanted a better job, something that challenged him. But every single time he sat down to update his resume, he'd suddenly remember something else he absolutely had to do. Laundry, answering old emails, mindless scrolling on his phone, anything but the resume. Weeks turned into months. And then one night, he finally admitted the truth, just to himself. He said, "I'm not avoiding the resume. I'm avoiding the possibility that I send it out." And nothing happens. That fear of rejection, of silence, was so much heavier than the actual work of writing the resume. And this is where procrastination really lives, not in laziness, but in a toxic cocktail of fear and self-doubt. Modern life makes this 1,000 times worse. We're constantly bombarded with images of perfect results. We see people winning, succeeding, making incredible progress look completely effortless. So of course, starting feels dangerous, because starting means comparing. Starting means measuring yourself against all that perceived perfection. Starting means accepting that growth is messy, awkward, and full of mistakes. So you wait. But waiting has a hidden cost. Every time you delay something important, you're teaching your brain a new habit. Escape first, deal with it later. And slowly, quietly, later becomes your default setting for anything that matters. The crazy part is, the problem isn't that you don't know what to do. Most of us know exactly what we should be doing. The real problem is the emotional resistance that pops up and slams the brakes. That's why all those productivity hacks don't fix procrastination long term. A new planner won't solve it. A fancy new app won't solve it. Watching another motivational video won't solve it. Why? Because procrastination isn't a time management problem. It's a relationship with yourself problem. So, here's the shift in thinking that actually changes things. Stop asking, how do I force myself to do this? That question is a battle. Instead, start asking, what am I afraid will happen if I actually try? Be honest with yourself. Sometimes the answer is simple. You're afraid you'll fail. Or maybe you're afraid you'll succeed, and then the expectations will get even higher. Maybe you're afraid you'll see just how far you still have to go, and it feels overwhelming. Or maybe deep down, you're just afraid you'll disappoint yourself. Once you name that fear, once you bring it out into the light, it starts to lose its power over you. Here is another quiet truth. Procrastination often comes from trying to do things perfectly instead of just doing them honestly. You don't need perfect focus. You don't need a perfect plan. You definitely don't need to feel confident before you start. You just need movement. Small, tiny, almost insignificant movement. Write for 5 minutes, send one paragraph. Make one email draft. Make one small decision. The goal isn't to finish the whole thing, it's just to begin. Because that simple act of starting changes your nervous system. It sends a signal to your brain that says, hey, we're safe. We're moving. And once you start moving, the resistance gets weaker. This is also where self-respect comes into the picture. Every time you keep a small promise to yourself, you build trust in your own abilities. Every time you delay, that trust shrinks a little bit. That's why procrastination hurts your confidence more than failure ever could. Failing means you tried. It means you showed up. Procrastinating means you never even gave yourself a chance to see what could happen. So if you've been stuck in that cycle of delay, if you've been beating yourself up about it, here's the truth you need to hear. You are not broken. You are not lazy. You are not incapable. You are a human being, dealing with fear, pressure, and a world of expectations. Growth doesn't require you to be fearless. It just requires you to be honest enough with yourself to start imperfectly. The deepest truth about procrastination is this: it ends the moment you stop running from yourself and start working with yourself. It ends with one small action, one honest attempt, one single step that doesn't need to be impressive or perfect. That is how momentum begins. Not with a sudden burst of motivation, but with a quiet act of trust in yourself. Thank you for watching. If this resonated with you, consider subscribing for more.